Welcome to this Google Calendar training video on managing events presented by Simple Business Solutions. You may have a calendar that looks something like, I'm just going to make up some events here. You may have a calendar that looks something like this, or maybe even sometimes there's things sitting on top of other things and there's tiny things and it's just chaos and you don't know what to do. So you might have a day that looks like this. Well, this is pretty busy for one thing. But for another, it's kind of hard to manage, right? You can't really differentiate the different types of things. So one of the easiest ways to manage events in Google Calendar in particular is using colors. You click on the item, you click the edit button, and then you change the color here. I'm going to use a yellow. Click save. So now when I go back, that particular event has a particular color. You can always right click on the event as well to change the color. You can do that much more quickly. And you can color the items however you want. So there's some events you just don't want to forget. For example, maybe this is my kid's football game and he just doesn't know how to tell me, so he wrote this. Well, if I want to be reminded of this and not get lost in whatever this is beforehand, I can set a reminder. So if I click that edit button, I can go in and I can say add notification to remind me that something's coming up. So great for family vacations, great for anything that might follow, something you're going to get engrossed in, and great for those that just forget. So what happens if you start to use the reminders over and over again and you arrive at a point where you just don't want to go in and set a reminder for every single event? Well, you can go into a calendar by clicking on the three dots. I'll do that one more time. The three dots on the right of the event. On the right of the calendar over here, settings and sharing. You can scroll down to event notifications. So these are global notifications for any events that I add to this calendar. I have notification every 10 minutes. Now, if I go back and if I select an event and if I type in a title, click on more options, which brings me right to the edit window, you can see that any new event gives me a 10-minute notification. Now, you may be wondering, does this work for retroactively on old events? Well, it does. If you haven't set a custom notification setting, any of the old events that you have, you'll have a reminder for. So this does work retroactively with all of the events that you have on your calendar. However, it's really important to note that these settings for reminders only apply to you because of the sensitivity of other people's privacy and particular ways of doing. Google does not allow you to extend these notifications unless you're part of a Google Apps organization, in which case, ask your organization administrator if they can set the defaults for a calendar. It is up to the other person or other people that you are inviting to these events to set their notification settings accordingly. And now let's talk about the single biggest organizational tactic within Google Calendar, which is having multiple calendars. So here you can see Google already gives you a few to start with. We mentioned that in our earlier videos. And so because you have multiple calendars, that means that you can add different events to different calendars, which means that all the settings that you set about reminder settings here, your event notifications, your all-day events, the color, the default color of the events on the calendar, which you can access by clicking on that settings button, and it shows you the colors. Any settings that you set on a given calendar can then be applied to all events on that calendar. So you can have different types of events. So let's say this event was part of a family event and I wanted to put that on that test calendar. I click edit, I click the drop down and click on test calendar and save. Now you'll see it'll change colors and you'll see it appear and disappear as it moves. So then if I want to add this one, I click on the calendar, test calendar, and save. And you'll see that changes color. And now, because I have these different events on different calendars, I can show and hide groups of events. So that's it for this Google Calendar training video. If you like this video and want more like it, please subscribe to our channel.